This is Dylan and Aaron from Articulated Reviews, coming at you with Transformers Prime, Beast Hunters, Voyager, Shockwave.
Right now we've got him sitting in his alt mode, his tank mode, I suppose. I have to say, it looks a lot better in the show than it does in the toy form. It's weird, he just kind of is lying there. It doesn't look like a tank.
It looks like he's trying to perform some kind of complex yoga position, in my opinion.
Yeah, the tank treads are on the back. They're really small and kind of dainty, and you can't even really tell they're tank treads unless you look directly from the back and see the treads there.
And it doesn't... I mean, we're doing this on this cloth surface, so maybe it does roll better, but it doesn't really roll that great either.
Even when I was transforming him and putting him into this mode, I was like, oh, I'm done? It doesn't seem like I'm done.
And at least from what I can tell, turret doesn't really move.
No, it's pegged into the back there. Both of his arms kind of bend around. One pegs in on top, one pegs in on bottom. And that's the only thing that really pegs in. The rest is just, okay, bend his front arms like this, swing the tank turret back. It's, it doesn't really feel like you're transforming him, you're posing him.
It's kind of interesting how the arm swings around like this, but just overall, the tank mode, it doesn't work. It really doesn't. Maybe if it was more accurate to the cartoon, it would work, because in the cartoon, you just see this just beastly, just like Titanic tank coming at you, and Shockwave is just so menacing in both his robot mode and his vehicle mode in the show, and just the vehicle mode, the toy's vehicle mode just does not work.
No, you do have the Beast parts on here too. We can pop those off. These come with a lot of the Beast Hunters stuff. They're kind of this rubbery plastic, and all they are is just so they can say, hey, this is a Beast Hunter toy, so we have these other things to pin on there. It is nice that they can come off, though. I
see what they were trying to do. They were trying to make him kind of have like this bizarre crab monster look going on. But why? Why would you use this? I cannot think of a single person who would want to put these things on here while you display it. For kids, yeah, it's a nice little feature, but for adult collectors, no, throw these away. Get rid of them.
There's quite a few figures they've used these on, too. Smokescreen, his deluxe.
Smokescreen used one, used a couple of them.
Yeah, it seems to be the reasoning is it's like, okay, we haven't done this figure yet, so this way they get a normal version and a Beast Hunter version, which is cool, because you've got, like, Ratchet, for instance. He's got his normal one, and he's got a Beast Hunter one, so those parts don't come off. They're built in. But then, like Smokescreen, we got that recolor of Knockout. So then when they put out a real Smokescreen, then it was like, okay, we have real Smokescreen, and then we have a Beast Hunter add-on parts that come with them. I think the proportions are the main issue here for me with the vehicle mode. The tank treads in the back seem really small, the arms up front seem way too wide, and the gun seems much too big.
I completely agree. I can't find much to like about this vehicle mode. I like it in the show, but I just think they didn't make a very accurate representation of it. Like, the basic shape is there, but it's just not represented very well.
I think the reason for that is because in Prime there's a lot of, I can't remember the name for it, when stuff changes size when it transforms.
Like mass displacement.
Yes, there's a lot of that. They probably could have made his tank treads better, but in robot mode it would have made his backpack really big. They could have probably messed with the arms, but then his shoulders might have gotten messed up in the robot mode.
I almost forgot to mention the gimmick on the tank turret, which obviously translates into robot mode if you've seen this guy in the show, where you press this and it actually spins the turret, and if you look closely, you can see it's got this glowing missile-like thing in there. And obviously we got all these light sources so you can't see it, but in the dark it actually glows.
The way I see it, all the misproportions here in the vehicle mode are because Shockwave gives his all in the robot mode. Let's show the transformation, show you what he looks like next.
have Shockwave in his robot mode. Excellent robot mode.
I couldn't agree more. It's amazing. And I have to point out, too, I always love this figure. I've seen it on Dylan's shelf a million times. And I've only ever seen it in robot mode, so I thought it was just, oh, it's amazing. So when we saw it in vehicle mode earlier, that was the first time I've seen that thing in vehicle mode. But the robot mode in this thing more than makes up for it.
We've got the standard Voyager articulation. The head moves 360 degrees. Bends at the elbow. Moves up at the shoulder. Up and down. Bends at the knee. Got some really nice ratcheting click in there. Rotates. Got some kind of ratchet up here too, I think. Really nice articulation.
I think that's one of the only issues is that ratchet you were just doing in the hips. It's a little limiting. It's very I don't know what you call it, very wide ratchets, not a lot of slots.
I'm not a fan of this ratchet joint. It really just completely limits articulation.
Well, yeah, show from, I mean, you've got your straight position there, and then the next click.
He stands fine right now.
Yep, now you click at one spot, and you're way out there.
He borderline does the splits. You can't do it. It doesn't work.
Yeah, you kind of got to leave his hips where they're at.
It's, from what I can tell, it must be 1, 2, 3. You get about 3 clicks, and that's it.
And it ends up really limiting the positions of his hips, which you don't need a lot of positioning in there, but you need a lot of fine positioning.
I mean, it's Shockwave. He's not going to be like, doing bombastic poses. It doesn't have to be fancy, but still, it would have been nice to have some decent, articulation in his hips. It really limits things. And then, I can't complain too much because it's the design of this character. He's got this tube hose back here. And if you're not careful, like moving his arm all the way up, you're probably going to tear that hose out of there. And as Aaron showed in the transformation, the hose unhooks out of here, plugs into there. Pretty much the same thing as the Darker the Moon Shockwave, which I think this design owes a lot towards.
Yeah, that hose, the first time I ever had to plug that hose in, because when you get them, the hose isn't hooked up. It's tank treads is what it is. You have to hook that in yourself, and every time you transform it, you have to hook it in. The first time I had to hook it in, it was a pain in the ass. It's kind of got 2 little hooks on it that go into that slot, and the first one I could get in no problem. The second one, I had to fight and fight and fight. It's gotten easier now. That rubber's gotten a little more malleable, kind of moves around. You don't have to use that hose either, it should be noted. I mean, you can tuck it back up in the backpack if you want, especially if you want to do some more dynamic, like, shooting poses. You might need to do that.
I really don't see a point to hiding it, though, because it's pretty much, that's a part of his design. I can see why some people would, though, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, like you said, with Shockwave, you don't need much of a pose. He just stands there. He's intimidating to look at. He's huge.
This thing is just menacing. You look at this, and it's like, why couldn't Megatron's figures be this scary? This thing is just bitchin'. It's freaky.
Yeah, he's great. You've got these awesome, like, demonic heels at the bottom leading into these huge calves, big, broad shoulders, and the huge cannon.
I'm a big fan of the awkward-looking hand. I've never heard of someone holding a gun barrel like this, but, what do I know?
Yeah, the hand's a little weird. I kind of did make fun of it when I first saw it, too, because it kind of bends down. And I don't know if he's got maybe some wrist gun action going on there. Otherwise, it's pretty cool, though. You got the nice little claws there.
Head sculpt's pretty good. Is it me, or does it look like he's got some kind of insect-like pincers in there?
Yeah, there's some weird details in there.
It's definitely Shockwave, though. We got some really nice light piping. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, it is a light pipe. Hard to see with our lighting, but his whole eye does have some real nice light piping.
It just completely illuminates.
Some other nice details I want to point out, too, is on those shoulders, that kind of pink part, that's painted in.
Yeah, there's a little bit of paint apps on this guy, but to be honest, he doesn't really need it for the most part. I mean, this plastic is so nice looking, and then this red clear stuff right here just pops. It reminds me a lot of the War for Cybertron Shockwave. Got kind of that same design. I got some silver right here on his feet, which is a really nice touch.
Something I want to point out, just for this isn't strictly a Shockwave thing. This is just something with the newer figures that they're using this new rubber. If you can notice on our figure here, this top piece here is actually starting to bend. They do, if you have them transformed in such a way that those rubber pieces are bent out of their natural shape, over time, that's going to become their new natural shape. Like his little chain here hanging down from his gun. Now it wants to go in this position. It still folds up fine into his backpack because it pegs into the backpack. But other figures, maybe with a sword or Shockwave here with his little antenna thing, once that gets bent, it's going to be really hard to get it bent back into a straight position.
I can definitely see it becoming a problem. But just for this figure specifically, it doesn't bother me too much. I mean, if you really don't like it, you can just pop it down.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal with him. Just something I think that us as collectors should kind of keep in mind as we're posing some of these newer figures that use that.
You just got to be a little careful, Keep in mind what you're doing. Don't mess a beautiful figure like this up. Don't mess it up. You got to be just a little bit careful with some of these rubber bits.
Oh, that something else I completely forgot about him too. You kind of see it in the transformation. His shoulder blades here are actually spring-loaded, so when his arm comes up, the shoulder blade goes with it. I found that was really cool. Nice little touch.
Does enhance the articulation and the overall look of the figure. I really like that. Oh, and let's not forget about the red pieces, the red armor.
See, I just told everybody that this figure is awesome. They really, Well, okay.
Well,
here.
you gotta show it. We gotta show it.
Yes, the Beast Hunter attachments from the vehicle mode do carry over and can be used on the robot mode.
I can barely see where to plug this in.
Yeah, the chest piece is a little hard to peg in because the pegs are in that clear plastic, so they're kind of hard to see where the holes are at. Ugh, I hate those shoulder pads.
Isn't this just pretty?
Ugh.
This is just a fashion statement right here. And you gotta plug this in there, which I'm having trouble with. There we go.
Yeah, you can kind of see that's another issue with that chain on the gun kind of limiting the arm movement.
Yeah, okay, we're done with that.
Yeah, they're just awful. There, back to good old Shockwave. We showed the beast parts, whatever. Throw them away. Leave them like this.
Yeah, buy this guy. Get him. He's worth it.